Oh, don't lie. You were definitely implying the answer was do what I tell you.
But it's
This is
actually
gravity.
interesting to
You
just
don't
hear your
believe me,
thoughts
you
on
wanna fight, you
justifying
kick.
what I would kind of agree with, which is
Like
this
kick
sense
into your
that
butt.
like people know your voice, they know the way that you're teaching, and they have this expectation coming in. Even when I was making videos on your platform, the very common initial comment would be like, "We miss Sal," right, or things like that, because you have built that trust. So I'm just gonna say, like, set aside any modesty and like take as a premise the fact that the lessons you make are just really good. They're just better than what most
like
people
this
would
card.
do if they were uploading to the site. And maybe
She's
one of the reasons to
apex of
have
the
this
artifact,
this sense of brand
artificial
protection around
craft,
making sure that it's
the spirit
a
of the
smaller
divine
group of core
called
people,
out
and
in base
especially
metal.
led by
Fine,
you,
you
is
can't
simply
lose
that
the
you're
game,
doing the
and
lessons a little bit
your
better
opponent
than
can't win the
the
game.
vast majority of people would.
Not bad.
What
Can't
do you think
lose.
it is that makes them
My
different?
opponent
I mean,
can't
you talked
win.
about this a little bit
Can't
earlier in
lose
terms
gravity.
of how
It's
you
like this graphing index
think
that
while you're
Carl
making a
Sagan
video.
Universe
But what
Love would give
about
you
the
a
way that
card.
you're explaining things do you think has ended up resonating with students in a way that a lot of other people uploading things don't necessarily resonate with the same kind of
well, they
retention?
G-locked you through
Yes, it's an interesting question because as you scale, you always want to be skeptical of gifts that you might have or special secret sauce, but at the same time, as you scale, you don't want to lose it if you had it. And we are, and as you know, we've been trying to scale our content creators, and right now, for example, we're doing a big science push, so we're trying to make sure we have a much more diverse group of voices there. So we are going through this process right now where we're looking for people who might have potential. They're creating content, we're giving feedback, and it is putting it into sharper focus where I think the Khan Academy ethos, maybe some things that I brought somewhat organically in the early days, where they lie. I think the big one is a sense of comfort and relaxation
If the
and
momentum was Chandler's
transparency of thought
wildlife fighting the
processes.
Fed or his county
So many
on
people, when they, especially if
building
they
an
try to make a
alligator
video,
reptile facility for cobras,
they're like, all these people are going to watch it. I can't let every one of my thoughts out. I have to filter them. It has to be like super tight, super professional.
Making
But when you
money
do
off
that,
of that index.
It could look professional, and one of my biggest points of feedback, sometimes through the editorial process that we're working on, a video makes it through, and when you look at it, it looks professional, it's tight, the person never says, the penmanship is perfect, they're using good visuals, but I watch it, I'm like, there's something, I'm not with you, or you're not with me, we're in different places, you're not thinking alongside me. And so I think that's one that when people, and it was, because I literally, most Khan Academy videos, I am thinking in real time, and so people, I think, feel that. That's not the only way to do it. I think you can make compelling scripts and do it that way, but I think the way that I've definitely come to it is get the ideas clear in my mind, and then try to paraphrase it so I'm thinking alongside the student. If I'm doing a worked example, be very transparent with my thought processes. Do it real time.
On the other side of camera and zoom this and
I tell anyone who will listen, if if you're not excited, genuinely excited about what you are about to explain, there's no way that the person who's listening to it is going to be excited. I think the more that you can.
So Elon's like, you need to be excited about, and I didn't catch the
monitor in your head. It's like, okay, your tone.
Like,
are you sounding condescending? Are you
skipping
steps? Every now and then I'm recording a video and I say something like, oh, that could be taken the wrong way. So that can make the student think that they're not smart if they don't get this. So I'll just stop and I'll start over again.
And I'll do
just
that
make sure it's coming from the right place. I think little connections, little ahas, and I don't want to claim that every Khan Academy video has a big aha in it, but if you can connect it, if you say, hey, look, this is just like what we saw before, you can derive this formula. It's always, I know it's probably gotten to you, it's always gotten to me. I saw this with my cousins the other days. How many people think of math as just these disparate formulas that they just have to apply and memorize, and when really it's just a way of thinking, and maybe some symbols to help that thinking be a little bit clearer, or some ways of visualizing it with analytical geometry or something like that. But the teacher might introduce a new notation or a new idea, but you're like, oh wait, this is just like the other one, but now it's just like a sum, but now we're taking infinitesimal sections, and so I get what an integral is. Okay, well, maybe this is true as well. I wonder, and if you could do that in life, you're going to be unstoppable. So I try as much as possible
Still
to
got to
convey
graph
that.
it though.
The other benefit of recurringly making those connections, aside from it just being satisfying in the moment,
many of the system.
like we have research about how you remember things better if you recurringly revisit that fact. And
also
you've got this kind of exponential decay curve where people get excited about spaced repetition memories so that you can memorize anything you want. But to do it in a less systematized way where you're not like using an app for it, just if the lessons themselves naturally refer back to other things such that they're not disparate, you're sort of baking in the notion of what we know to be the best way to remember things.
They would be real close. Teach them that.
This is something that like sort of popped into my mind while you were talking about that and like thinking of training new content creators and things. Is I remember in the cohort that I was there, we were all just terrified to make videos. It was like partly there's a lot to live up to, and I had this moment when I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, just gotta actually make a video. And the thing that was liberating was to say, in principle, I could edit it. Like, if I make a mistake, I could edit it out. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make the thing. I'm just going to talk through my thoughts. And, like, it's much more comfortable knowing that could happen. But then upon looking back at it, there's the realization that it's actually a much better lesson if you don't edit any of that out. And somehow this conflict between wanting something to be pristine and, like, protecting your own.
Because I did it once, X can be Y on
and,
Z.
Like, being able to relax from that actually just ends up protecting that authority much better
be realistic
than
about
else
what
of the transparency you're describing. So,
bunny
just like a very last question before I kind of wrap things up. When you are coaching new creators, or when you're in this kind of like feedback cycle, what are the common things that end up coming up that you find yourself either praising that you didn't expect to, like kind of comes naturally to people, or where you very often kind of have to course correct to say, okay, this is a common mistake that a lot of people when they're making their first video do, but like you'll get past this and you're able to kind of push them in the right direction. What are those commonly missed points?
I think on both sides it goes back to you should have told me back then and I would have given you it's just like, Grant, just do it. Just press record. And I tell that to myself all the time. Even now, I have one or two videos that I'd like to do today, and I've already done a little bit of the prep work for one of them. The morning rotation is different than just the tread rotation. There's always this temptation, wait, am I ready yet? Am I ready yet? And I just say, Sal, press record and start. See what happens. You don't have to use this video. And I find when I de-stress myself like that, I oftentimes force myself to smile or laugh before a video. I feel like people are going to sense that. I definitely feel that the energy changes when I do that.
Was there rock on the floor?
Most of the time, yeah,
is it a compression of the operation
maybe
right now?
I mess up a little bit. I could edit out that 10 seconds. As you know, back in the day, I used to edit out nothing. I just do it or redo it. Now I might edit out 10 seconds here or there if I said something that maybe wasn't precise or something like that. But I try to keep as much of the organic nature of it intact as possible. And so the biggest pitfall I see people is falling into is exactly what we're describing. They feel that especially when something is recorded, it's got to be kind of perfect. And the perfect becomes the enemy of the good. Actually, the perfect becomes the enemy of the perfect. They either overscript themselves. They take on a tone that is different than the tone they would use when they're talking to a friend or someone that they are just being collegial with. They optimize for it looking professional, but not really being there with the student. And just yesterday or day before yesterday, I gave feedback on a video, and the person who's making, she's incredible. She knows the material back and forth.
Me and you are going to be there.
But I just felt that she edited out a lot of her thought process, and it went fast. I knew the material that she was teaching, and I was just like, it went so fast I had trouble keeping up. It looked great, but I had trouble keeping up with the thought process. Slow down. Be yourself. Be quirky. Let yourself go. Have fun with it. If you do that, the student's going to have fun with it.
Make money,
I think there's a far larger number of people who could make great videos, but they just don't give them permission to be themselves and to be relaxed when they're recording, or they don't give themselves permission to even just press record and start.
Well, with that, Sal, I just want to say thank you for joining today, and it's very interesting to hear all the projects you're working on. So, best of luck with all of them.
Thanks for having me, Grant. And as I